It's time for our look back at our top stories of the week. Trader Joe's could soon be coming to uptown New Orleans. City council members voted to allow developers to demolish a vacant 1950s building. But some say that building has historical significance. Eleanor Tabone explains why.
You may have driven past it before. On the corner of Ferret and Jenner Streets uptown is this vacant building, a 1950s mid-century construction. Once upon a time, young minds populated the hallways inside.
It was a school building that was associated with the Archdiocese, Our Lady of Lourdes School, and it was part of a larger complex that was the entire block that included a church, and a rectory.
Well, this building could soon be demolished.
That school building has been sitting there for a long time with no commerce attached to it. So again, getting a grocery store that provides affordable, fresh food, especially in District B, where we know that there are a lot of food deserts.
Councilwoman Leslie Harris says Trader Joe's could soon be sitting on this corner.
It's going to be walkable and that it's on a public transit line. And so people can actually get to Trader Joe's easier than going out to Metairie.
She says the new supermarket will revitalise Ferret Street. The councilman says no other buildings on the campus will be touched.
And I want to make it clear that what is being demolished is that school building and nothing else on the campus.
What makes us unique in the world is that we have such a large amount of historic fabric that still exists.
The councilman says the building's architectural style is not native to New Orleans. However, Brian Block with the city's Historic District Landmarks Commission says the building is on the register for historical places.
We do like to make the case that buildings from the middle part of the 20th century are now becoming important landmarks in that they represent an architectural style that is perhaps more unusual in New Orleans, but they do still carry some significance.
This thing's a square brick monstrosity. It doesn't have a single awning or a balcony or anything.
One resident, however, says the neighborhood needs supermarket options.
Well, that'd be convenient. It would save me 4 blocks. That'd be about 4 minutes each way. That'd be 8 minutes a day. I mean, that would be great.
Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
An organization on the West Bank has touched down in Texas for the Track and Field Junior Olympics. For many of these kids, it wouldn't be possible without NOLA Rush. Our Leah McNeil spotlights how they're living up to their mission statement.
Most kids really just need that, a chance to get involved and try out a sport. But sometimes the paywall that comes with it just cuts a whole group of kids out. Realizing this and the lack of affordable club sports on the West Bank, NOLA Rush was created.
Runners ready.
You really have to put in the work.
Set.
No matter how you're feeling that day.
Go.
Drive. Now hit the. Good.
Everyone's here to push each other.
In 2019, Joseph Gillenwater founded NOLA Rush. Since then, he and his team has been molding minds and cranking out full-blown athletes.
We had a few kids who were having financial issues joining a team, so we wanted to start a team where anybody could join regardless of if they were able to pay, and it just kind of exploded from there.
From 5 kids in the first year to 100 in 2024, starting with track and expanding to basketball.
It shows me that a lot of kids are being overlooked.
Tanash Landry is one of the kids that's been there from the start.
When I first came here, I wasn't like the best with COVID and everything. I wasn't really working out. They helped me get back to where I was and keep building up to what I am now.
That's a high jump state champion and soon to be Loyola University athlete.
It shows that everything I did paid off. It wasn't like me just running around and jumping. It meant something.
And she's not the only one with a few titles under their belt.
I have thousands of medals, but I am a 7-time Junior Olympic All-American, and this year I became the national champion for the 3,000 race walk.
Joseph Gillenwater III is one of the 60 NOLA Rush athletes headed to the National Junior Olympics.
Really excited, yeah, I'm ready.
It's gonna be fun because it's my first time.
Paxton Willis says he's excited to compete in his first Junior Olympic Games and is ready to help his teammates along the way.
Because I just want them to get better. I want them to be like me.
It's like a family. It's not like the other track teams. We're really athletes bonded together.
And everyone wants everyone to get better.
Rushing and running full speed ahead.
There's a lot of things going on in society that holds children back. And we're trying everything we can to let them believe that they can accomplish things.
Ready to bring home the gold.
Seeing their confidence in themselves just explode is amazing. And then them getting to go and compete against some of the best kids in the nation, that's icing on the cake.
Gillenwater says they will soon be opening up an indoor training facility and headquarters on the West Bank too. In the meantime, they're looking forward to bringing home the gold from the Junior Olympics this weekend. So let's wish all those athletes good luck.
In the year after Hurricane Katrina, nearly 500,000 homeowners filed an insurance claim. That came to nearly $14 billion in damages. And what followed has since been called an insurance crisis across Louisiana. But there are some ways for you to cut costs. Our Lily Cummings explains how.
Greg Brown was a LiftLock guinea pig.
My roof was only 4 years old, and I was really surprised that we had over 120 shingles that needed to be resealed.
LiftLock uses a leaf blower to identify loose shingles. Then they're resealed. Brown, branch manager at TWFG Insurance, captured these photos of the crew on his roof in March.
So far, so good, and this type of product really should last, to say anywhere from 5 to 12 years, just depending upon, temperature, how it's applied, those type of things. So from a peace of mind standpoint, it really makes a lot of sense.
Right now, LiftLock is only available for Sage Shore policyholders. According to the company, they began offering the service in April. Stephen Lavecchio, principal at TWFG in New Orleans, says before that, Sage Shore wouldn't insure some homes due to the age of the roof.
Every company is trying to get an edge, trying to get their premiums down for the agents, for the insureds, and for themselves.
It's a $400 service that Lavecchio says has saved some homeowners between $1,000 to $2,000 a year on their insurance premiums. Another option, a wind mitigation survey. Unlike LiftLock, it's an option that's been around for years, and a broader group of insurance companies offer savings to those who get one.
Clients can save thousands of dollars. I have one here that our insured was paying, on a nice house, he was paying $9,300. He got a wind mitigation form, and his premium went down to $7,200.
The survey can cost anywhere between $250 to $400. While these options can lower your premium, in Louisiana it's still likely to be higher than the rest of the country. But for this Metairie homeowner, he rests easy knowing he's saved money and has added protection.
It protects that house. It gives that extra degree of not having the water come in, not having those shingles lift, not having it rip off.
Lily Cummings, WWL Louisiana.
For one North Shore family, lucky numbers are no joke after they won a pretty big prize when the same number just kept falling into place. Our Meg Ferris has the story.
It was Ben Schultz's golden birthday, 11 years old, on June 11th. So the Mandeville family celebrated with a charter fishing trip out of Hopedale to Delacroix.
I just like the excitement when I hook into a fish and the thrill of reeling it in.
And guess how many fish they caught that day?
We catch 11 fish.
But none of those fish had a special CCA tag on it. You see, the family joins the Coastal Conservation Association every year to support its mission.
We are essentially the voice for recreational fishermen. We try and bring back the oyster reefs that have disappeared, or the fisheries that once were.
And every summer, CCA puts on STAR, the statewide tournament and anglers rodeo, to increase membership. And every time the Schultz family fishes, Mom Allie constantly asks if the catch has a winning tag. Well, 11 days after that 11th birthday on June the 11th with 11 fish, they head out on the waters again.
I was catching fish left and right.
Then Mom hooks a redfish.
And then we saw that it said CCA Star Louisiana. And we went crazy.
And guess what time it is?
I'll give my dad the net, and we net it, and then it's 11:11 a.m.
Allie's only the 4th woman in the history of the CCA tournament to be one of the winners. And boy, did she win big. This 23-foot boat, 200 horsepower motor and trailer worth $65,000.
I just thought that we're going to live like millionaires from now on.
180 redfish have been tagged from Sabine to the Biloxi Marsh. 2 men, each fishing from separate shores, have been big winners too. A Chevy Silverado and boat just like Allie's. Last year, only 15 of the tagged fish were caught, but only 1 person got the prize because the rest were not registered.
We've had people as far as Hawaii join. And it's funny, last year we had 3 out-of-state anglers catch fish.
So now the Schultzes have one more task, to name their new boat. Maybe Ocean's 11? Meg Farris, WWL, Louisiana.
Last week's indictment of Mayor LaToya Cantrell's former bodyguard is just the latest in a string of high-profile challenges for the second-term mayor. A federal grand jury is also looking into other activities by the mayor. Investigative reporter Mike Perlstein looks at Cantrell's mounting number of second-term setbacks.
All expenses incurred doing business on behalf of the City of New Orleans will not be reimbursed to the City of New Orleans. One thing is clear, I do my job.
That was Mayor LaToya Cantrell back in September 2022 when reports first surfaced about the mayor billing taxpayers nearly $30,000 for first-class travel upgrades, a clear violation of city policy. But after a ruling by the city CAO, Cantrell agreed to pay the money back.
Press the reset button as much as you can. Admit missteps, first thing. Demonstrate accountability.
But the travel controversy was just the first in a long list of second-term setbacks for Cantrell since her re-election in 2021 and the collapse of a recall petition more than a year later. When the city council learned she was living at the city's hospitality suite in the Upper Pontalba apartments, the body first compromised, passing an ordinance banning overnight stays. But within a year, Cantrell was caught staying overnight, and the council voted to ban the mayor entirely and put the apartment up for rent.
All self-inflicted, unforced errors. That's putting it mildly.
The list goes on. A legal agreement Cantrell made to perpetuate the 110-year-old Wisner Trust and prevent the city from collecting the full $10 million a year payout was reversed after the city council filed suit. Cantrell's signature nonprofit organization, Forward Together New Orleans, was forced to disband and repay the city more than $1 million. A string of hand-picked Cantrell hires ended in disaster. Keyshawn Webster resigned after a controversial period as the head of the city's juvenile lockup. Gregory Joseph was removed by the council as her spokesperson because of ethics violations. 911 Director Tyrell Morris was forced to resign and is now facing criminal charges after allegedly altering documents to avoid blood alcohol tests when he got into an accident while driving a city vehicle. Xavier Professor Silas Lee, who did polling for Cantrell during her first term, said the accumulation of controversies takes a toll.
So it's a constant battle of distractions while at the same time trying to manage the governance of the city.
Lee noted that Cantrell's once lofty approval ratings, topping 60%, have recently plummeted to about 30%. The characteristics that voters once admired about the mayor, her firm command during crises such as Hurricane Ida, the Hard Rock Hotel collapse, and COVID pandemic, now seem to work against her as she tries to beat back controversies.
She not only brought these problems and challenges on herself, but she has made them worse by doubling and tripling down.
WWL Louisiana political analyst Clancy Dubose said the mayor's combative approach has been even more visible in the controversy surrounding her former bodyguard, Jeffrey Laffey, who was just indicted for payroll fraud and lying to the FBI, accused of taking city pay while carrying on a romantic relationship with Cantrell. Remember that long before Vappie was criminally charged, he was reprimanded for the same payroll irregularities and removed from Cantrell's security team. But after the reprimand, Cantrell reinstated Vappie, and then this photo was taken of the pair in April on the balcony of the Tableau restaurant overlooking Jackson Square.
Astounding to me that anyone in political office faced with these kinds of self-inflicted wounds or unforced errors would just say, I'm going to do it again and again.
Cantrell drew even more attention to the Tableau controversy when she filed a protective order against her one-time Pontalba neighbor, Ann Bro, who shot the pictures from her own balcony. The mayor's petition was quickly dismissed, and she was ordered to pay Bro's attorney's fees. But the city issued a press release stating, quote, the objective was achieved, that is, bringing attention to perceived threats to the mayor.
It's about as bad as you could do in court.
Cantrell has curtailed her media availability dramatically amid all the recent drama. Long gone are her free-for-all press conferences. Former Mayor Mark Morial said the ongoing federal probe puts her in a tough position.
It becomes difficult for you to keep the public's focus on your agenda versus the latest in an investigation or an inquiry.
But there's still a city to run, and Councilmember Eugene Green, who has often been supportive of Cantrell, said he was at an event with her the day after Vappie was indicted, and she didn't miss a beat.
She gave a very vigorous and enthusiastic, supportive address to the youth who were present.
While the mayor previously said she will cooperate with any ongoing investigations, she has not answered any questions since Vappie's indictment, and she declined my request for an interview for this story.
Bottom line, it impacts her legacy because the legacy is written and defined by everyday actions.
Mike Perlstein, WWL, Louisiana.
Hundreds of athletes are competing for their chance at gold this weekend, not at the Olympics in Paris, but in New Orleans at the Veterans Wheelchair Games. Our Alyssa Curtis took a look at the competition and shows us how a drastic change in their life led to something they never thought would be possible.
I'm doing the adaptive fitness and the powerlifting.
I'm competing in basketball, pickleball, weightlifting, and softball.
These athletes are much like any others who compete in sports, except they're veterans.
I was in the Air Force.
Oh, and they use wheelchairs.
I was shot by a surgeon that infiltrated our outpost and shot me in the stomach, and kind of bullet went through, shattered my hip, broke my back, did some damage in there.
But that doesn't stop them. This weekend, over 500 athletes are in New Orleans competing in the Veterans Wheelchair Games.
It's a really special and good thing that the VA actually provides a lot of the equipment.
They say getting back to things they love in a different way has changed their life.
It's taken me to places that I never thought I'd be and doing things I never thought I'd do.
Plus, they love getting to bring out their competitive side.
We veterans are still able to flex.
Organizers say wheelchair sports are extremely beneficial to veterans who are now paralyzed.
It helps them to overcome what some of us might consider overwhelming challenges.
These sports may look a little bit different, but honestly, the main difference with adaptive sports, it's harder.
A lot of CrossFit is very like core and like lower body focused. So a lot of the movements, they're just a lot harder because you don't have those extra muscles.
Many of them are hoping events like these bring more awareness.
It's just kind of been a climb, just trying to get, you know, the resources.
But this weekend, their main focus is getting that gold.
Won 3 gold medals last year.
Alyssa Curtis, WWL, Louisiana.
It's a life-saving technique New Orleans EMS implemented, and it is saving lives. Our Eleanor Tabone explains in this exclusive report. A 70-year-old woman could have lost her arm when she was attacked with a chainsaw if it wasn't for the blood she received.
They directed us to the kitchen,
We found her sitting in a chair there.
Monday, just after 2 p.m, New Orleans paramedic and field training officer Saber Holland arrived at a bloody scene.
The towel that was on her was soaked. Her dress was soaked in blood.
NOPD says officers found a 70-year-old woman whose arm had been severely injured. Police say the incident involved some sort of chainsaw in the 1200 block of Riviera Avenue.
She looked real bad when we first got to her. Her skin color was a little pale. She was pretty sweaty, a little anxious, obviously, after everything she had gone through. She had a little bit of active bleeding going on.
Saber says he and his team were able to stop the bleeding, but the victim's lacerations were deep.
We didn't know how deep it went initially because our goal was to stop the bleed and get her out of there, right? So we don't know if we had any separation of the bone through the joint.
He says he knew she needed blood, and soon, because there was the chance she could lose her arm.
We ended up giving her 1 unit of blood and then the associated medications with that, which is TXA and calcium, which help prevent and aid in the metabolic changes that occur with severe trauma.
New Orleans EMS has been administering blood to patients since 2021.
We have a full IV kit. This is the way that we administer the blood. This is a LifeFlow device. Pretty much it's like a squeeze gun. You put the spike everything like you're supposed to do and you squeeze it, and it gets a unit of blood in about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
The technique boosts people's chance of survival on the way to hospital.
We got that on. Her blood pressure came up, her heart rate came down, her skin color looked a lot better. She was doing significantly better than when we first got to her.
Monday's victim was the 270th person to get blood from New Orleans EMS since the program started. She remains stable in hospital. Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
John Pittman is the victim's son. He's facing attempted first-degree murder and battery on a police officer charges. The NOPD says 2 officers were hurt during the struggle to arrest him.